Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. So, today we're tackling a scenario where, well, you definitely won't be needing that sunscreen. We're diving into one of the most fascinating and, let's be honest, absolutely terrifying thought experiments out there. It's a scenario that completely flips the script on everything we know about our planet's reliance on its star. It really exposes just how incredibly delicate the biological balance keeping us all alive actually is. Our source material today breaks down the exact timeline of what would happen to our world, our environment, and of course us, if the center of our solar system just vanished. Poof. It's a wild ride into extreme science and survival, so let's get right to it.
Seriously, what if the sun just suddenly disappeared? I mean, I want you to really picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, you roll out of bed, you go to pour your coffee, but the sun never actually rises. Now, at first, everything might seem kind of normal. You'd probably just think, wow, it's an incredibly cloudy morning, or maybe that your alarm went off way too early. But that comforting little feeling of normalcy, yeah, that wouldn't last long. We're about to map out a really suspenseful timeline of planetary survival. It is a literal race against time for everything living on Earth, and it's going to show us exactly how fragile our energy chains really are.
Section 1. The 8-minute delay, the final rays of light. Okay, let's dive into this.
8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's it. That is exactly how long we'd have. See, if the sun just blipped out of existence right now, we wouldn't actually know immediately. Light still takes time to physically travel through the vast vacuum of space. So for exactly 8 minutes and 20 seconds, Earth would just keep being bathed in these final ghost-like rays of sunlight. We'd all just be going about our business, completely oblivious that our star was already gone. But the very second that cosmic clock runs out, the final photons hit the ground and bam, the entire planet is instantly plunged into complete, unyielding darkness. Just like that, the permanent loss of natural daylight hits. And remember, it's not just the sun. Without our star to reflect light, the moon totally vanishes from the night sky too. It would go terrifyingly pitch black. So humanity would suddenly be in this desperate scramble, completely reliant on artificial electricity. Within hours, cities around the globe would be flipping on every single street lamp, stadium floodlight, and flashlight they own just to see 2 feet in front of them. But as our source material points out, our electrical grids simply cannot replace the massive, life-giving output of the sun. Not even close. Section 2. The first freezing week. Temperatures drop. Let's move along and see how this builds. So on day 1, Earth wouldn't actually freeze over right away. Our atmosphere basically acts like a giant planetary thermos, trapping all that initial heat left over from the sun. It gives us this brief, completely false sense of security. But moving into days 2 through 6, without the sun constantly topping up our thermal energy, that thermos starts to leak. Temperatures drop steadily and aggressively every single day. Then we hit day 7. By the end of that very first week, the average global temperature falls entirely below freezing. The reality of a starless planet fully sets in at this point, and, your landlord would probably still try to charge you for heating.
Now, the cold is obviously bad, but the environmental consequences? Those are much worse. Rivers and lakes slowly begin to turn into solid ice, totally cutting off freshwater supplies. But the true killer here is the darkness itself. Without sunlight, plants immediately stop photosynthesis. They lose their ability to make food practically overnight. In a matter of days, the very foundation of our ecosystem dies off, and this catastrophic domino effect instantly ripples right up the global food chain. Herbivores starve, carnivores follow, and the entire biological balance of our planet just begins collapsing almost instantly.
Section 3. 1 year in the dark. A frozen planet. Let's fast forward exactly 365 days. Minus 73 degrees Celsius. After a full year without any solar energy to warm us, that is what Earth's average global temperature could reach. To put that into perspective for you, that is actually colder than the most brutal, freezing winter nights ever recorded in Antarctica. At this extreme temperature, most of the world's oceans would be completely frozen over on the surface, essentially turning the Earth into a giant, silent ice ball just drifting aimlessly through space.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that while the surface of the oceans becomes this inhospitable, totally frozen wasteland, deep, like really deep, below that thick crust of ice, a surprising little miracle happens. Pockets of liquid water would actually still exist down in the darkest depths. How? Because of the heat still radiating from Earth's very own interior core. This internal geothermal heat could surprisingly sustain certain types of deep-sea marine life for thousands of years, completely isolated from the frozen apocalypse happening up above. So life finds a way, even in the absolute dark.
Section 4, Can Humanity Survive? Extreme Adaptation. Okay, so if we were going to survive this, humanity would have to execute an unprecedented, massive survival blueprint. Step 1, we abandon the surface entirely. We'd have to relocate into massive underground cities just to escape that minus 73-degree deep freeze. Step 2, to power these subterranean habitats, we would need to relentlessly harness nuclear power and the Earth's own geothermal energy to provide us with both electricity and life-saving heat. And finally, step 3, to avoid mass starvation, all of our food would have to be grown strictly indoors in highly controlled environments using artificial lights. It would be a cramped, hyper-technological existence for sure, but from a pure engineering perspective, it wouldn't be completely impossible.
But here's the most inspiring takeaway from all of this terrifying data. Humanity's greatest strength has always been adaptation. Even facing the complete disappearance of the sun, a frozen, starless void, and the total collapse of the surface world, our species has this unique historical capacity to engineer solutions. We adapt, we overcome even the most impossible, difficult scenarios. Actually, scratch that. It's more like we're just problem solvers by nature.
So, knowing what you know now about the timeline, the unbearable cold, and the extreme isolation, if the sun simply vanished tomorrow, do you really think we'd have the global willpower to actually pull it off? Think about the technology and the totally unprecedented cooperation it would require. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the incredible mechanics of our universe. And, maybe, just maybe, take a second to appreciate the sunrise tomorrow morning.